Come on, 2, 3.
Well, good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder. This is BRN AM for Thursday, January 27th, 2022. And our top story today, the Federal Thrift Savings Plan's administrative expenses decline in 2021. Joining me now to discuss this and a lot more, Kim Weaver is with the Federal Retirement Thrift Investment Board. Kim, great to see you. Happy New Year. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's good to see you. And the Federal Retirement Thrift Investment Board, FRTIB, is very busy at work, and you're off. You just completed your review, your last board meeting, most recent board meeting, and we're going to focus on administrative expenses and administrative review. So let's talk about 2021. How did the funds do?
Well, the funds did very well. As you know, we are all index funds, and the indexes did very well in 2021, and so did TSP investors in the overall TSP fund.
And that's great news. I know we've had a little bit of trouble with the markets at the beginning of January, but 2021, by and large, all things considered, with the pandemic, financial markets, the economy, people getting back to work but maybe not going into work, the markets did really well.
The markets did very well, and our net assets were the average over the whole year were $763 billion. And so that is quite a nice sum of money for our participants.
Yeah, that is a great number. And again, just to reaffirm for everybody watching, the Federal Thrift Savings Plan is the largest defined contribution plan, not only here in the States, but in the world.
Yes, we believe so. We have 6.5 million participants. There are other state-run programs, but they're more defined benefit type programs than defined contribution programs.
So let's talk about administrative expenses, and that's something that if you're managing a 401k, a 403b, or a governmental 457, we often hear about litigation, and we hear about expenses being one of the key drivers of litigation. But and I'm sure you're happy to report, the Federal Thrift Savings Plan is the cheapest plan that I know of. So administrative expenses have to be rock bottom barrel expenses.
Well, our expenses, we're charged with running a low-cost plan and offering funds that are appropriate for investing for retirement. So, as I just said, we have five funds, and our expenses, our net administrative expenses for 2021 was 4.3 basis points. So 4.3 cents per thousand invested. And that was a drop from the previous year. And, we keep our eye, as our CFO said at the board meeting, we only bill our participants for the money we expend. So we take our budget very seriously, and just because the board approves our budget doesn't mean we spend all that money. So in not spending that money, that's one less dollar charged to our participants.
But just the fact that the assets have grown, and I think this is where, even if you're a smaller retirement plan, there's some lessons here, Kim, because as assets grow, you get what's called economies of scale. And Federal Thrift is the largest plan, as we just discussed, and there are some economies of scale, and that's why you have 4.3 basis points. But there are some lessons for others who manage plans as well. You can lower your cost by looking at your expenses, and it's not all about cost. There's got to be value for the participant through education, communication, all those kind of things. But that economy of scale, that principle is pretty powerful.
It is. It very much is. And as you say, you can be cheap and provide crappy service. And that's not what we want to do. We want to be inexpensive and provide quality service. And that's what we're striving to do. We work very hard on making sure we're responsive, that we're secure, that we provide good customer service to our participants. And, that is always a balance, right? Do you need to spend the money? Yes, you do. And that's fine. But if you don't, then don't, and save the money.
Yeah, and let's just remind people, you said there are close to 7 million participants in the plan. That includes federal workers, people that work for the federal government, but it also includes our men and women in the U.S. military as well.
Yes.
And members of Congress. I don't want to forget members of Congress. I think they participate as well.
They do. All federal employees, postal employees, members of the uniformed services, and employees and people who have separated from the government as well, whether that's they've just left and gone out into the private sector, or people who have retired from the government. So we have quite a breadth of employees who live and work all around the globe.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Kim, I need to take a very quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about the Converge program. We're going to find out where that stands and a lot more. You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms, especially for the smaller businesses? I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
Are you stuck with a low credit score? A credit report and score that's causing you to be denied credit or pay higher interest rates than others for the same things? Then do what Terrence did and call Credit Repaired for your free credit evaluation to help restore your credit.
I started thinking about buying a new house, and my score wasn't where I needed it to be. I called and spoke with one of the representatives, and we just had a good conversation, and I liked what he was saying.
Just one call for his free credit evaluation was all it took to start back on the track to repairing his credit.
I'm seeing the deletions and I'm getting the report, so I know something's being done. It does make a difference to me.
All it takes is one call to get started.
Credit Repair has given me a second chance to have a better credit score.
Don't let a low credit score hold you back another day. Do what Terrence did and make the call for your free credit evaluation.
Call 800-819-4152. That's 800-819-4152. Again, 800-819-4152.
Welcome back. We're talking this morning with Kim Weaver of the Federal Retirement Thrift Investment Board. Kim, thanks for sticking around with us this morning.
Happy to be here.
And we talked about the importance of balancing expenses and fees with systems and communication and education. Let's talk about the Converge program and just remind our audience, I mean, it's been a few months since you were on, but we did talk about this. What is the Converge program? I think I know, but I want to make sure I know.
So we awarded a new record-keeping contract, and Converge is what we have named that effort, where we are moving to a integrated system. Right now, we serve as the integrators for the call service, or call centers, the forms processing, the actual record keeping. We are combining all of that, and we are hoping to go live. We will be going live in the summer of 2022 with that new record keeper. And in doing so, it'll bring some new services and flexibilities to our participants that will be an upgrade from what they have right now.
Yeah, and for the audience, having been in record keeping for a good part of 2 decades, I can tell you that, and Kim will tell us, there's a lot of intricacies with record keeping. It's not as simple as just putting in your social or your employee ID and getting information. There are systems built upon systems, and having the right partner is really important to delivering the services that make up retirement plan services.
Absolutely. There are, as you just said, many moving parts, and the fundamentals, of course, are starting with security, right? We're dealing with the personal information for 6.5 million participants. So we start with a secure system, and then you start working up to making sure that the record keeping system is able to keep track of all the data, and then all the permutations, the loans and the hardship withdrawals and the regular withdrawals, and all of the different things that defined contribution participants can do. We want to make sure they can do and do flawlessly.
Yeah, and you and the team, it's not just Kim Weaver, though you serve an important role. There's a lot of people behind the scenes that have to make sure the machinations all work. So you're not only working with the new record keeper, you've got the existing record keeper, you've got to port over all this data, and there are lines and lines and lines and lines of data per each participant, both active and retired, that have to port over. That sounds to me, it's a thoughtful process, but also a Herculean process as well. It's not for the faint-hearted.
It is not. It is not for the faint-hearted, and that's why when we awarded the contract, we deliberately set out an 18 to 24 month transition process, because we wanted to make sure, we didn't want to rush it and end up with mistakes. That would not serve anybody. But as you said, it is certainly not me. There are numbers and numbers of people at our agency who are working diligently to make sure all the different pieces fit together, and that everything is moving forward, in alignment. So you don't have one thing ready and the others not. And one of the big things we've been working on over the past couple months, we get data feeds from about 110 different agencies providing us with the payroll and money and all the indicative data for the participants. And we want to make sure that we have those agreements with those agencies, and the security agreements set up with those agencies, so we can be testing. Because if we do all of our work perfectly, it doesn't do anybody any good if we're not able to get in the information about the participants and the money they're contributing.
Last question, Kim. Not obviously, but usually when you move to a new record keeper, you also get efficiencies, but there are new systems, new services, and things and features that participants will have access to, maybe on day one, but also day 90, 6 months. Any hint of what participants might see once this record keeping conversion is complete?
So when we go live on day one, the first one thing that's going to be available that people have been asking for is a TSP app. So you will be able to have your phone, and if, like, I have an iPhone, if you use the biometrics to get into your bank app, for example, you'll be able to do that for your TSP app. And that's just a huge convenience for people. Most people live on their phones anymore. And so that's, I think, a huge step forward. We're also going to be having an option for a mutual fund window that will allow TSP participants to take a portion of their money through and invest in mutual funds that are offered on that platform. And we're going to also be able to offer people sort of an end-to-end tracking's the wrong word. If you start something online and then you want to call the call center, instead of having to repeat everything to that call service representative, they'll be able to see what you were doing. And that saves you time and frustration in moving whatever issue you have along. I think those three things will be really very helpful to our participants.
Absolutely. As you said at the beginning, it's about communication, connectivity. There's a balancing act there. Kim Weaver, great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. And we look forward to having you back on the program again very soon.
Thank you so much.
And that wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a topic of interest, someone you think we should talk to? Well, drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the information in lifestyle, wellness, finance, tech, so much more, check out our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. Want to search our archives or check out our latest content? Well, of course, you can check out our website, broadcastretirementnetwork.com, but also check out our streaming partners, Roku, Amazon, Samsung, and over 100 more. We're back again tomorrow. Until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes.
Waiting here for you to take and drink of. But if you're tired, come on.
Now is your opportunity to co-create content around any topic on the first lifestyle and wellness network. Reach a global audience through our platform and co-own exclusive branded content. All of our programs are available on demand and also as audio-only podcasts, so you can take us on the go. Broadcast Retirement Network, available anytime, anywhere, and on any device.
Are you being audited and do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money? Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress. The IRS can freeze your assets and seize your bank accounts, but you can stop these IRS actions. The Tax Doctor will work with you using our years of experience to represent your case to help you get the best resolution under the IRS guidelines. Help is here to deal with the IRS to reduce your stress. We've handled thousands of cases, so we know what we're doing. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, do not call the IRS alone. Call a Tax Doctor now for a tax emergency analysis.
Call 800-224-6439.